Welcome to Enchanting Folktales. The story I'm about to tell you today is about Halima, the lost princess. Once upon a time, in a far-off kingdom in northern Nigeria, there lived a king called Ali, who had two wives, Amina and Fatima. Amina was the first wife and the queen, but she had not given birth to an heir, which made the king Ali marry a second wife, Fatima. However, Fatima was envious of Amina's position and would do anything in her power to become the queen herself. King Ali wanted an heir and did not care if it was male or female, so he was expectant for a child from both wives. Fatima did not care if she carried the king's child and decided to set a trap for one of her servants in the palace. She left her door open and poured gold jewelry at the entrance of her door to catch the attention of any servant in the palace. Then Musa, one of the servants, saw the jewelry and decided to pick them up and return them to Fatima. As he bent down to pick them up near the entrance of Fatima's door, Fatima jumped out and quickly grabbed him and warned him that if he did not cooperate with her, she would report him to the king that he was trying to steal her gold jewelry. Musa, afraid for his life, did as he was told. Months later, Fatima happily announced to the king that she was pregnant. And not so long, Queen Amina announced also that she was pregnant. The king was overjoyed with the news of two children on their way. Fatima was so angry and jealous because she knew that the child of the queen would be given the privilege of being the heir to the throne. And so she remembered Musa and called for him to do her bidding, else she would report him to the king. Both Queen Amina and Fatima gave birth to girls, and the king celebrated the birth of his children. A week later, Fatima planned with Musa to raid the palace and steal both children, but to leave her daughter at the palace gate and kill Queen Amina's child and dump the body in the bush. Musa was very uncomfortable with this and did not know what to do. But he had no choice because Fatima would report him to the king and he would be killed. So, one day, Musa arranged with some men who covered their faces and raided the palace. They took both girls but left Fatima's child at the palace gate and left off with Queen Amina's child. The king was devastated and Queen Amina was inconsolable. The king sent his men to search everywhere and they searched but couldn't find Queen Amina's child. This made the kingdom sad, but Fatima was happy within herself. Years passed and King Ali made Fatima's daughter heir to the throne. This made Fatima the queen instead of Queen Amina. Unknown to Queen Fatima, Musa did not kill the child. Instead, he sent Queen Amina's daughter to his grandparents in a faraway village and they raised her as their child, and she was named Halima. Halima grew up in a small village on the outskirts of the kingdom. Despite being raised as an orphan by her grandparents, she was always cheerful and kind-hearted. Her days were filled with chores and helping her grandparents with farm work, but she never complained. One day, as she was on her way to the stream to fetch water, she met an old woman who was sitting by the side of the road. The woman looked weak and thirsty, so Halima offered her some water from her pot. The old woman drank the water and thanked Halima, calling her my princess. Halima was taken aback and told the old woman that she was not a princess. The old woman looked at her with a knowing smile and said, "Ask your parents about your true identity." With that, she got up and walked away, leaving Halima confused and curious. When Halima returned home, she told her grandparents about the encounter with the old woman. They looked at each other, and then her grandmother said, "Halima, there's something we need to tell you. You are not our granddaughter, but the daughter of Queen Amina and King Ali." Halima was shocked to hear this and asked her grandparents to explain everything to her. They told her how her stepmother, Queen Fatima, was jealous of her and had stolen her away so that she would be killed and not become a threat to her own daughter's claim to the throne. Halima was overwhelmed by the news and the realization of her true identity. Her grandparents assured her that they loved her just as much as if she were their granddaughter, but that she had a rightful place in the royal family. From that day on, Halima's life forever changed. She had a sense of purpose and a destiny to fulfill. She vowed to find her way back to the palace and claim her rightful place as a princess, despite the obstacles in her way. With the love and support of her grandparents, she set out on a journey to uncover the truth and fulfill her destiny as a princess of the kingdom. Halima was filled with both excitement and fear. She knew that her stepmother, the queen, would never willingly give up the claim to the throne, but she was determined to fight for what was rightfully hers. With the help of her grandparents, she began to plan her journey back to the palace. They packed a bag with food and water and gave her a map of the kingdom, along with some advice on how to avoid the queen's spies. Halima was determined to make it back to the palace, but the journey was long and treacherous. She had come through forests and climbed mountains, all while avoiding detections. Despite the challenges, Halima never lost hope. She held her head high and pressed on. Fueled by the love and support of her grandparents, she knew that her destiny awaited her, and she would not give up until she fulfilled it. But just an ordinary girl, she pressed on. Finally, after many days of travel, Halima arrived at the palace gates. She was nervous but was determined to do what she came for. So she approached the guards and told them her name and her mission. To her surprise, they let her in, and she was led to the throne where her father, the king, and her stepmother, the queen, were waiting. And Halima stood before them. With her heart beating fast, she told them of her journey and her desire to claim her rightful place as the princess of the kingdom. The queen sneered at her and told her that she was a liar and that she would never be accepted as a princess. But the king looked at her with some form of recognition and love. To prove her identity, the king ordered his head servant to bring out a magical bracelet. Both queens were unaware of this magical bracelet. It was known to the kings only that they should have a secret bracelet, that whenever there was a dispute that could not be resolved, they should use it to resolve that dispute. So this secret was kept away from both queens, and he brought it out this day. The bracelet could tell the truth. As soon as the bracelet was brought out, Queen Fatima was surprised and afraid, while Amina, who had been sad for years, finally had a glitter in her eyes for the first time in a long time. The king placed the magical bracelet on Halima, and she turned into a beautiful queen. And then the king placed the bracelet on Queen Fatima's daughter, the heir to the throne, and she fell to the ground vomiting. The king was shocked and immediately turned to Queen Fatima and told her to confess her crime, else her daughter will die. Then she confessed to her crime and that her daughter was not his daughter. As she confessed to her crime, her daughter became well. After Queen Fatima's confession, King Ali was filled with rage and banished her from the kingdom forever. He allowed her to live outside the kingdom, but never allowed her to return. The servant who was held in servitude to the service of Queen Fatima was also set free from his forced servitude. He was grateful to Halima for her role in exposing Queen Fatima's crime. Halima finally reunited with her mother, Queen Amina, and they both cried tears of joy. The king was overjoyed to have his long-lost daughter back and embraced her as a loving father. Halima's grandparents were thrilled to see their beloved granddaughter finally take her rightful place as a princess. The magical bracelet became a symbol of truth in the whole of the kingdom, and everyone came to trust it. It helped to resolve the many disputes in the kingdom, and there was finally peace and justice for all. Halima learned to love her new life as a princess and embrace her role in the kingdom. She worked hard to earn the trust and respect of her people, and she became known as a wise and just ruler. The people loved her for her kindness and her willingness to listen to their concern. King Ali, Queen Amina, and Princess Halima lived happily ever after, ruling the kingdom with fairness and justice. And the magical bracelet continued to be a symbol of truth and justice in the land. Did you learn any lesson from this story? If you did, let us know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, as this will help us to grow our channel. Thank you for watching and listening. Bye.